Hello, it is I, Belladonna Krishana, here with your mid-month reading. So, so first of all, let me start and say, Aries, that I have been really busy doing a lot of really great things. I've been unable to really take the time and energy to be able to do these videos as consistently as I would like to do them, but I'm here now, and in the future, I would very much like to. Um, be able to do these videos for your mid month more frequently. So I apologize for my absence, but I'm here now. Hello. So I went ahead and shuffled your cards. I did a set of videos beforehand because I got a totally new tarot deck, but I didn't like the videos, so I'm doing them again. Okay, we're using the book or the tarot deck rather, Tarot of the Time Being, which is the new deck that I got from my shout out to my friend Kyra Mon, who is the author of Clearing Spaces and Deliverance. He sent me these beautiful tarot decks, so let's use them. They're like super rad, like super duper rad. Look at that imagery, y'all. Anyway, so um I went ahead and pre-shuffled these cards because like I just got these cards, so I wanted to make sure that we weren't sort of uh swimming without a boat. Or I don't know what that phrase is. Oh, we were going full stream here, okay? Anyway, so the cards that I picked for you, that I picked out rather or drew were there are no reverses, but I got distress. I got the Fool of Songs. I got defeat. Okay, that's the first row. I got the Priestess on the second row, the King of Spirits on the second row, the Queen of Songs. It's really fast, I know. You'll see them all again in a second. The Queen of Earth, the Fool of Spirits, and Separation. So, what does it all mean? Okay, so we start off with like the energy that you guys have been feeling probably through this Venus retrograde that is about to end, going into Mercury retrograde. Oh, wow. You're like, I got enough lessons. This is enough. But anyway, so we have the planet that moves through the planet of beauty and the planet of love and the planet of um, kind of how you move through the world, like in your own passions and things like that. That's been in retrograde, and it doesn't necessarily mean that like if it was the planet of beauty, things are ugly now. There is a thing that happens though sometimes during this phase where it is what looks like it's broken that needs to be sort of restructured and fixed in such a way that it can actually truly radiate the beauty that it was intended for. So, it's like the story that people talk about with like the vases, I think it was like Japan or something like that, but the vases that they like break and then they use like a gold molding to like put them back together and all of a sudden they're more beautiful than they were before, that kind of thing. So, we start off with distress, and distress usually means a sense of refrain and restriction. So it's almost like you guys have been in a place where you felt like you couldn't really move forward. If has to do with a relationship, maybe you've had somebody who, especially during Venus retrograde, sort of like retracted themselves, or you might have been this person who did this. And so it kind of put you guys in a state of sort of like, it's like you're kind of stuck in a place, you're like stuck in a box and you can't get out. You can't figure out where the keys are and the knobs are and things like that and how to lift the top up and things like that. So it's like you guys are sort of in this state of like distress, like it's time to move forward. Like, what do we do? Like, what is this? Um, we have the Full of Songs. So this has to do too with like the way of which you use your voice, the freedom of which you use your voice. And so a lot of times, especially coupled with distress, this could probably indicate the fact that you guys haven't really, it's like there's a lot of uncomfortable conversations that probably have to happen or should happen. Things are dead in certain areas, and like the conversation to like, hey, you know, I know, let me just do this. Um, and it just seems like you just can't get the right words out. You can't really seem to formulate what you're saying, or the other person on the other end can't really formulate how to say what they need to say. If this is a work situation, this could be the example of somebody who, like, kind of wants to like fire somebody, but like also the person's probably been there for a really long time and stuck it through, the big merger and things like that, and now you're like sitting there like, this is really uncomfortable to have to let Joe go, but it's about time. But also like let go or be dragged. So if you know the time is coming, it's like, do you think? I wrote all these down, so if I'm looking over here, like this is why. So the defeat card comes up, and this is the card of abandoned pursuit. So sometimes there's nothing to be done. And when I say nothing, I mean no thing. There's nothing to be done. Um, Sometimes it's like this, for whatever reason, it's really painful. I don't really know what's gonna happen next, but like, time to let go. Time to let go now. Um, there's this awesome dude on YouTube named Muji, and I listen to him like all the time, and he has all these really amazing, like really amazing insight. And one of the things he was talking about is when it comes to stillness, he has a stillness meditation. And in the stillness meditation, he talks about there's nothing to be done, there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go, you know, and it's the ultimate expression of being in the present moment. It's the ultimate expression of sort of being in the chaos, but not being of the chaos, being allowing sort of this, the choice, rather, allowing the choice of how you move through to be that you just kind of sit still and sort of allow things to happen, which is really, really hard to do. It's very hard to do. I'm not saying it's not, but that is essentially, what that means. So, and this is on the top row, so I'm assuming this is energies that, either have passed or are currently sort of happening. So we move through. We move through and we get to the Priestess card, the Sacred Mystery card. Um, so this is really interesting because the Sacred Mystery card, basically, the way I would interpret it would be that there is sort of this like beautiful, not to give a whole bunch of pop culture references, but there's like this one movie that Will Smith was in, called Collateral Beauty. And it is that sort of, there is a sacredness, there's a beauty to the darkness, there's a beauty in the becoming, you know, and it feels painful and it feels kind of ugly and it's not exactly our preference because we think we want things to be completely flatline stable. But really, in essence, everything was birthed out of this sense of chaos. Everything was birthed out of this sense of darkness. And what is birthed out of that darkness, with that, like, what's birthed out of that sort of sense of chaos is new life, is completely a complete, uh tearing away of anything that has ever been before, you know. And so that's what is created in that sort of sacred place, the mystery of what is to come. So we have the King of Spirits, and this one, hold on, I wrote this down. I can't read my own writing, but okay. So this one is basically talking about the, it is at that point where you have nothing but full potential. There's nothing but full potential that exists. There's nothing but What is it that you want to do now? Who are you now? What do you do now? What do you like? Do you travel? I, old me didn't travel, but I travel now. Um, are you the type of person who goes for, if this is talking about a love relationship, are you the type of person who goes for someone who's stable? Or do you go for someone who's adventurous? And maybe it's time to like, shack up with Aladdin for a minute. Rub that lamp. Ooh, that was a bad reference. I'm gonna refrain from that one. But like who are you now? What is it that with all the information that you've gathered, like what is it that you do now? And that is kind of an important step to being able to really claim to claim your own authority, to claim your own space and peace and things like that. It's like you ask the question, who am I now? Um, we have the Queen of Songs. So this is also the card of optimism. This is a card of like sort of a consensual optimism, meaning this is sort of you getting to a place of seeing that potential, living in fantasy land for a little bit. Talk to your Pisces friends are good at that. um, that wasn't a dig. That is very true. That's actually a gift. But anyway, um, you as you're sort of like moving into this place, this new place, and you're trying to figure it all out and you're trying to embrace the mystery. The Queen of Songs is sort of giving you the advice that maybe it's time to be optimistic about where it is that you're going to go. Because it's almost like, I don't know if you've ever gotten, and maybe this has to do with someone being fired from a job, but if you've ever gotten fired from a job, there is two equal parts to that. Sometimes it's that fear of like the unknown of like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? How long is it going to take for me to get a new job? But then there's also this little, and maybe it's small for me. A lot of times when I used to work regular jobs and I was like, I got fired or whatever, there was like this little part of me that was almost excited about not having that thing that was anchoring me at that moment. There was that thing that was like, I was really almost like a little excited about the idea of being able to see something new, to do new things, to perhaps travel at my new job, if that's what I wanted to do. I don't know why travel comes up. Maybe it's coming up for you. But there was a potential for me to see things in a totally different light and to move forward like I hadn't done before, because the same people weren't around. So, so yeah, there's this almost like this little bit of like excitement when things end that kind of allows for a space of infinite possibility, which is actually really exciting if you allow it to be. So the optimism has to kick in, and that's a choice that you make. We have the Queen of Earth. Let's see, where did I put her? Where did I put her? So the Queen of Earth is the sort of really innocent. Hold on. I have to pause this. My mom's clock is going on. Hold on. I don't like that clock. Anyway, so uh Queen of Earth, really innocent energy. She plays in the field and she grows things and she explores and she discovers and uh she tries things. She puts things together in a way that perhaps she's never seen them put together before in order to create something different. She analyzes how the butterflies move and where they migrate to, where the birds migrate to. She climbs trees. The Queen of Earth is asking you to reach into that energy, that inner child self energy, and really start playing around with all the elements because that's what children do. That's what the Queen of Earth does. That is that sort of like that, especially even with like relationships even. It's like if you want to rekindle the relationship, why don't you reach back into that honeymoon phase and bring some of those elements out? Maybe and try some new things. with that. Put things together, see how they work, tear things apart, see how they work, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of queen that it's asking you sort of in this new state of grand potential to do that a little bit, to explore, to experiment a little bit with that. So we have the Fool of Spirits, the Fool of Spirits. So this is actually the card of, great inspiration. So this is basically coming out and saying like, hey, now that we're here, let's really play with kind of the idea of using earth energy and being inspired by the things around us, being drawn to certain things around us and allowing ourselves to really go to that place. Let's go down the rabbit hole for a minute, you know. And the Fool is the card, is the zero card, and zero is the number of infinite possibility. So again, we're into this sort of infinite possibility place after getting out of a place of refrain, of restriction, actually, because remember we start with the distress card, which was that refrain and restriction. And the last card that we have here is the card of separation. So this to me indicates that, as we're moving through the story that is being woven here, this is indicating to me that this will actually mean that you'll probably end up with a whole new crowd. And what feels like chaos, again, is just a remolding. It's just a rebirthing. It's just that everything was birthed out of chaos and darkness. I hope this reading was helpful. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next month. Okay? Bye.